Hello out there. We're here in our home, Joan Morris and William Bolcom, giving you a little bit of a home-style concert. We have retired, at least formally, some years ago, but Monica of Carytown Concert House asked us to come out of retirement.
Yeah, when I wrote her we were going to be retiring, she says, not yet. She says, you got to do one more gig for me.
So here we are.
And we could have taped it at Carytown, but she said, do it in your home, and Bill feels safe, in our place.
It's much less complicated
Chancy,
to arrange, and it's kind of fun. The idea of doing a home concert. We've seen a number of them, of other people doing that, and it's kind of a sweet thing to do. So we don't mind that part about it. We were just thinking about where will we start. Well, when Joan and I met in 1972, I was working on a book about U.B. Blake, and Noble Sissel, his longtime partner in crime. He was the word man, and U.B., of course, was the piano man, and also the person who wrote the music. So we thought we'd start with one of the ones that, of course, is the big hit of U.B. Blake's life, I'm Just Wild About Harry, which was not written for the Truman Convention. It was written for 1921, and shuffle along. It was the great big breakthrough for a black musical on Broadway. And so we'll start with I'm Just Wild About Harry.
There's just one fellow for me in this world. Harry's his name, that's what I claim. Why, for every fellow there must be a girl. I found my mate by kindness of fate. For I'm just wild about Harry, and Harry's wild about me. The heavenly blisses of his kisses fill me with ecstasy. He's sweet like chocolate candy, and just like honey from the bee. Oh, I'm just wild about Harry, and he's just wild about, cannot do without. He's just wild about me. Oh, I'm just wild about Harry, and Harry's wild about me. The heavenly blisses of his kisses fill me with ecstasy. He's sweet like chocolate candy, and just like honey from the bee. Oh, I'm just wild about Harry, and he's just wild about, cannot do without. He's just wild about me. He's sweet like chocolate candy, and just like honey from the bee. Oh, I'm just wild about Harry, and he's just wild about, cannot do without. He's just wild about me. Okay, all you thousands out there applauding. Hope you enjoyed that. When Bill took me out to meet the first time to meet UB, UB said to Bill, Bill, play a waltz. And UB took me in his arms. I mean, he was about as tall as I am.
It was a waltz by him.
It was a waltz by him?
Waltz Marion, named for his wife.
So we started dancing together. Bill said it was the first time he felt jealous because he thought Yubi could take me away from him because he was a ladies' man.
Girlfriends aside from his wife.
But then, what did he say to you when I had to excuse myself and go to the ladies' room?
He said, "Marry that girl. She's a lady." The reason he took her in his arms was to see that she would behave. He would be able to tell whether she was a chippy or a real nice girl by the way she moved.
So I fooled him.
This is the boy, when he was 13 years old, he started playing in the Houseville Repute to be able to help their finances. Mm-hmm. So he knew women very well. And so that's part of it.
So shall we just start with the Cole Porter?
Oh, yeah. This is one of the things that is kind of fun. Out of This World, which is not one of the biggest hits that they ever had, Cole Porter and the various producers. But it's a very nice song by Charlotte Greenwood. She of the high kicks. She was famous for doing that sort of thing. And it's a rather simple little tune.
Boy, it resonates with me now even more. Poets always speak of youth with such admiration, but we all must face the truth. Age has many a compensation. When I was younger, for nightlife I used to hunger. I sleep easier now. When I was cuter, each night meant another suitor. I sleep easier now. In the olden days at 10 p.m. I'd be necking in a hack. But this evening when it's 10 p.m. you will find me hitting the sack. When I was snappier, I made lots of boyfriends happier. I sleep easier now. When I was greener, for late parties I was keener. I sleep easier now. When I was smaller, I sure entertained a caller. I sleep easier now. In the olden days at 10 p.m. I'd be prancing every place. But this evening when it's 10 p.m. I'll be putting grease on my face. When I was prettier, in bed I did not read Whittier. I sleep easier now. I sleep much easier now. When I was thrilling, I said no, but I was willing. I sleep easier now. When I was hoping, I left all the doors wide open. I sleep easier now. In the olden days at 10 p.m. I'd be at some huge affair. But this evening when it's 10 p.m. there'll be bobby pins in my hair. When I was dreamier, I slept with an old French premier. I sleep easier now. I sleep much easier now. Yeah, that's the truth. Well, we started our recording career after the lady who Bill had recorded for at None Such Records, Tracy Stern. He had done an album of ragtime. In fact, he gave me that album when we were first going together. I used to play, I'd say to guys I was still dating, oh, listen to this, I just met this guy. And I'd play Graceful Ghost, Bill's rag for him. So I guess they took the cue. But Tracy, it took her a while to come here as she thought, oh, well, it's his girlfriend. But when she came and heard us at WBII radio,
That's right.
she saw right away. She says, oh, you're going back to the originals. You're not doing arrangements.
Yeah.
You're respecting the song. So she said, well, None Such is a classical label. We can't do, those ones that we'd have to pay royalties. How about going back in time and doing songs from the turn of the century, which are out of copyright? And to me, it was like, oh, dear, because I'd been in an off-Broadway show called The Drunkard, and when we did songs from that period, we were supposed to nudge, nudge, wink, wink. We were supposed to camp them up. So I had to learn when we got the book to pay attention to what was on the page. It got me to respect those writers a heck of a lot more. And
that was our album After the Ball, and that was one of them you probably had to send up when you were a kid. But no, I mean, those things are. I remember there was one. Gene Shalit said, "How can you sing those silly things?"
Yeah, and I said, well, do you laugh when your girlfriend leaves you? You know, there's times you want to feel the emotion, you want to indulge it and admit how sad you are. So the one we'll do next is one I always loved. Makes me think of where I grew up, Portland, Oregon, and staying at my grandma and grandpa's house.
By Paul Dresser.
Round my Indiana homestead wave the cornfields. In the distance loom the woodlands clear and cool. Oftentimes my thoughts revert to scenes of childhood where I first received my lessons, nature school. But one thing there is missing in the picture. Without her face, it seems so incomplete. I long to see my mother in the doorway as she stood there years ago, her boy to greet. Oh, the moonlight's fair tonight along the Wabash. From the fields there comes the breath of new-mown hay. Through the sycamores the candle lights are gleaming on the banks of the Wabash far away. Many years have passed since I strolled by the river, arm in arm with sweetheart Mary by my side. It was there I tried to tell her that I loved her. It was there I begged of her to be my bride. Long years have passed since I strolled through the churchyard. She's sleeping there, my angel Mary dear. I loved her, but she thought I didn't mean it. Still I'd give my future were she only here. Oh, the moonlight's fair tonight along the Wabash. From the fields there comes the breath of new-mown hay. Through the sycamores the candle lights are gleaming on the banks of the Wabash far away. Yeah, that brings back the color of twilight, the way the sky looked so blue, the evening light, and the little lamp she had on the table by the window.
Paul Dresser was the brother of Theodore Dreiser, who was a very important figure in those times. And I remember seeing a thing by Theodore Dreiser who said that it wasn't Paul who wrote it, but he had. I think he was just taking it from his brother, because I think it was one of those cases. It's very funny. We're going to go quite a bit further in our own time now. This is a wonderful song by Salvatore Guaragna, also known as Harry Warren, and a wonderful writer with whom we've worked numbers of years, called Al Dubin. And Al Dubin and Harry Warren's songs are among the best of that whole particular period of the 30s. This is from, actually, it's my birth years. No, it's 1935. I was -3. So, but one of these songs I know is 1938. Anyway, so here's 1935, and about 8:45.
Life begins when somebody's eyes look into your own. Life begins when you get your guy all alone. From morning until twilight, I don't know I'm alive, but I know love begins at 8:45. The stars are gonna twinkle and shine this evening about 8:45. My loving arms are gonna tenderly twine around you about 8:45. I know I won't be late, 'cause at 8:30 I'm gonna hurry there. I'll be waiting where the lane begins, waiting for you on needles and pins, and then the world is gonna be mine. This evening, about 8:45.
By Rodgers and Hart.
I don't care if there's powder on my nose. I don't care if my hairdo is in place. I've lost the very meaning of repose. I never put a mud pack on my face. Oh, who'd have thought that I'd walk in a daze now? I never go to shows at night, but just to matinees now. I see the show, and home I go. Once I laughed when I heard you saying that I'd be playing solitaire, uneasy in my easy chair. It never entered my mind. Once you told me I was mistaken, that I'd awaken with the sun and order orange juice for one. It never entered my mind. You have what I lack myself, and now I even have to scratch my back myself. Once you warned me that if you scorned me, I'd sing the Maiden's Prayer again, and wish that you were there again to get into my hair again. It never entered my mind. Once you said in your funny lingo, I'd sit at bingo day and night and never get the number right. It never entered my mind. Once you told me I'd stay up Sunday to catch the Monday morning dirt and find you're merging with some skirt. It never entered my mind. Life is not so sweet alone. The man who came to dinner lets me eat alone. I confess it, I didn't guess it, that I would sit and mope again. And all the while I'd hope again to see my darling dope again. It never entered my mind. It never entered my mind. Yeah, Larry Hart was always my guy. I just loved his lyrics, you know. Larry Hart has written some of the few lyrics where in the same song you can be laughing one second and tearing up the next. I don't know how he manages to push those buttons, but he was terrific.
Mm-hmm.
This next song is by Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller, not one of the early ones that they were known for, Hound Dog and Love Potion No. 9. And when Bill told me he knew them and was friends with them, I was just in awe. And when I first met Jerry, wow, you know, he had one blue eye and one green eye, and he'd always stand a little too close to
It was
you.
one orange and one green.
One orange and green?
Oh, it was even weirder.
Oh, I forgot.
And he knew that he could actually freak you out by just coming up close and staring at you. So
Oh, boy.
Yeah, but he was a very funny and wild kind of genius. Mike was this kind of plodding, absolutely solid musician. One of the songwriters who could write down exactly what he wanted on the piano. and that not many did, as you know.
And he studied with somebody kind of
He did
surprising.
something with Stefan Volpe, the famous avant-garde composer, who in his youth in the 1920s used to write cabaret material in German. So it was something that was perfectly natural for them. But what's interesting is this particular song, which never took off very big, dates from 1973, was a little bit past for their famous time with the 50s and 60s. But of course, everybody really knows them nowadays for one of their last big hits was It Never Entered My Mind.
No. Is that all there is?
That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, but here is Humphrey Bogart.
Humphrey Bogart, I am in love with you and every part you've played. Humphrey Bogart, king of the tough guys, I've seen every film you've made, and the greatest of all's the Maltese Falcon. I start climbing walls when I hear you talking through your teeth, Humphrey Bogart. I go bananas each time you come into view. Humphrey Bogart, my favorite movie star, I am in love with you and the raincoat you wore in Casablanca. I love you 'cause you're so masculine, with that cynical smile, the hat, the dangling cigarette. You look so keen to me that I could cry if you would walk out of my TV set and just be mean to me. I think I'd die. Humphrey Bogart, come on and Humphrey me, push me against the wall. Humphrey Bogart, come on and Bogart me, just like you did Bacall. Play it, Sam.
The amazing Dr. Clitterhouse.
Oh, yeah.
The African Queen.
Oh, yes.
To have and have not.
Oh, more.
The Maltese Falcon.
Oh, yes.
Big Sleep.
Oh, yes.
And the Treasure of the Sierra Madre.
Oh. Okay. When we were looking for a Sondheim song to do, we looked at a couple things, and he invited us over to his place. We kind of became friendly. I learned this one song. I was so glad to find it, called Anyone Could Whistle. And I said to Steve, you don't know my motivation on this, because when I was in college, I had the lead in The King and I. And when it came to I Whistle a Happy Tune, I had to tell the director, I can't whistle. I just can't. I don't have pitch. And so one of the guys in the orchestra, the oboist, he would whistle while I whistle synced on stage. She blocked me so I'd go down to the edge. So I told Steve that. He thought that was cute.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So not everybody can whistle,
Anyone can whistle.
except you.
Yeah. Anyone can whistle. That's what they say, easy. Anyone can whistle any old day, easy. It's all so simple. Relax, let go, let fly. So someone tell me why can't I can dance a tango, I can read Greek, easy. I can slay a dragon any old week, easy. What's hard is simple, what's natural comes hard. Maybe you could show me how to let go, lower my guard, learn to be free. Maybe if you whistle, whistle for me.
The next song is not all that well known because it came from probably one of the biggest flops that the Gershwin brothers wrote, called Pardon My English. Probably because of the circumstance. It was supposed to be about happy Germans yodeling to each other over the hills of Germany. Unfortunately, it came out the year that Hitler came to power. And the song itself, one of my very favorites, I first heard by the marvelous Mabel Mercer, who was my great dream of how people should sing until you showed up.
Ah. Why did I wander here and there and yonder, wasting precious time for no reason or rhyme? Isn't it a pity? Isn't it a crime? My journey's ended, everything is splendid. Meeting you today has given me a wonderful idea. Here I stay. It's a funny thing, I look at you, I get a thrill I never knew. Isn't it a pity we never met before? Here we are at last, it's like a dream, the two of us, a perfect team. Isn't it a pity we never met before? Imagine all the lonely years we've wasted, I with the neighbors, you at silly labors. What joys untasted, I reading Heine, you somewhere in China. Happiest of girls I'm sure to be, if only you will say to me, isn't it a pity we never met before? Imagine all the lonely years you've wasted, fishing for salmon, losing at backgammon. What joys untasted, my nights were sour, spent with Schopenhauer. Let's forget the past, let's both agree that I'm for you and you're for me. And it's such a pity we never met before. Yeah, my old speech teacher, Clifford Jackson, who taught me a lot about pronunciation and, you know, getting words out, he used to have this line. He says, married 38 years to the same woman, where did we go wrong? And, I have another great marriage line. I'm going to use it. I don't care. Okay. Marriage is like a 3-ring circus. There's the engagement ring, the wedding ring, the suffering. Okay, that's it.
Well, now, we have been together as a couple since 1972. Mm-hmm. We got legally hooked up in 1975.
Yep.
And that's 40-some years.
And you came out for our wedding. We got married
Ann Arbor.
In the old Unitarian Church. Bill Albright played the organ there. Bill Albright helped to get his job here at the University of Michigan. Anyway, UB, at the end of the service, he played the wedding march in ragtime. And Bill's mom did a little cakewalk down the aisle.
The whole church folk came out cakewalking all the way out.
Yes. Oh.
It was great that UB and Mary and his wife had come out.
Yep.
And it was just a great thing to see all we have pictures of everybody here, and it's just a wonderful moment.
And here we are, 42 years later. Where did we go wrong?
42? See,
Well, wait, 40, we got married 75.
75, so it's more than that.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm not going to add it up right now.
Okay,
Let's
right.
go on to...
We're too old to do that sort of thing. Okay.
Um,
Now, we're going to do one of my very favorite songs by Irving Berlin. Let's Face the Music and Dance. It's particularly good for our particularly messy time we're living in right now.
There may be trouble ahead, but while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance. Before the fiddlers have fled, before they ask us to pay the bill, and while we still have the chance, let's face the music and dance. Soon we'll be without the moon, humming a different tune, and then there may be teardrops to shed, but while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance, dance. Let's face the music and dance. Before the fiddlers have fled, before they ask us to pay the bill, and while we still have the chance, let's face the music and dance. Soon we'll be without the moon, humming a different tune, and then there may be teardrops to shed, but while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance, dance. Let's face the music and dance.
I have a special affection for the next song because I somehow think of it's all about me. Of course, it isn't because it was written in, way back in the teens through several different versions, but it ended up in Showboat in 1927. But it was already in about 3 or 4 different shows before they could find the right place to be.
That's right. That's why there's two lyricists. P.G. Woodhouse did it for the version in the teens, and then Oscar Hammerstein, the second, who did the libretto for Showboat.
Yeah.
He changed the lyrics a bit.
A little bit, though.
Oh, because it used to be about $1 bill. I
That's
remember
one of the
reading
versions.
that, one of the versions.
Yeah, there are several. In fact, I think we heard some of them. John McGlynn put out some of those early versions at the Carnegie Recital Hall. Now
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Wild Hall. Anyway, but I mean, this is a little bit of kind of fun thing. Anyway, the reason I kind of feel connected to it because it's all about somebody just like me, a schlump.
I used to dream that I would discover the perfect lover someday. I knew I'd recognize him if ever he came round my way. I always used to fancy then he'd be one of the godlike kind of men, with a giant brain and a noble head, like the heroes bold in the books I'd read. But along came Bill, who's not the type at all. You'd meet him on the street and never notice him. His form and face, his manly grace, are not the kind that you would find in a statue. And I can't explain, it's surely not his brain that makes me thrill. I love him because he's wonderful, because he's just old Bill. He can't play golf or tennis or polo or sing a solo or row. He isn't half as handsome as dozens of men that I know. He isn't tall and straight and slim, and he dresses far worse than Ted or Jim. And I can't explain why he should be just the one man in the world for me. He's just my Bill, an ordinary boy. He hasn't got a thing that I can brag about, and yet to be upon his knee, so comfy and roomy, feels natural to me. And I can't explain, it's surely not his brain that makes me thrill. I love him because he's, I don't know, because he's just my Bill.
I like that song. So we're going to close. As a matter of fact, Bill, we have done since the very beginning of our
Yeah,
career. I
that was
think
on
our
our
first
first
concert in
concert.
1973, I think it had on it.
It did.
And Jerome Kern, of course, and P.G. Woodhouse and Oscar Hammerstein II. Quite an interesting pair. Our last song today will be something that jazzers never knew had words. Jeepers Creepers. They all thought. I remember Sam Parkinson when we produced that album, and he sang. He didn't even know, because you know he was a jazz clarinetist. He loved doing that, and he didn't know it had words. Jeepers Creepers, but they happen to be wonderful words. And it was written at my birth year, 1938. Harry Warren against Salvatore Guaragna, but the lyricist was the great Johnny Mercer, which is amazing that people didn't know it as great lyrics. Jeepers Creepers.
I don't care what the weatherman says. When the weatherman says it's raining, you'll never hear me complaining. I'm certain the sun will shine. I don't care how the weather vane points. When the weather vane points to gloomy, it's gotta be sunny to me when your eyes look into mine. Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those eyes? Gosh, oh, get up, how'd they get so lit up? Gosh, oh, get up, how'd they get that size? Golly gee, when you turn those heaters on, woe is me. Got to put my cheaters on. Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Oh, those weepers, how they hypnotize. Where'd you get those eyes? Gosh, oh, get up, how'd they get so lit up? Gosh, oh, get up, how'd they get that size? Golly gee, when you turn those heaters on, woe is me. Got to put my cheaters on. Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Oh, those weepers, how they hypnotize. Where'd you get those eyes? Where'd you get those eyes? Yeah. And that's our show for tonight, or this afternoon,
Except for
an
encore.
our encore.
Which is a story. Again, this is one by me. We haven't done any of my songs, the cabaret songs, but we did everybody else's wonderful things. But this song came out of Joan and I were back in your hometown of Portland.
Portland, Oregon.
And we went to this lady affair, which was like this. I couldn't believe. Was that the lady who made all pink
Catherine
food?
Worsline.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and she made a luncheon. Was that the one where she dyed everything
Everything
pink?
pink. Yeah, so it was that kind of place. And so we go, oh my God, you know. And you walk in, and of course everybody's singing. eating, drinking a tea with a little finger up and so on. And I got a fit of the giggles. And I asked you for your notebook. And I wrote out the lyric. And you said,
And
I'll
I
never
looked at
do
it and I said, oh, it's too silly. I'll never do it.
So
And I learned it as a wedding present for Bill.
In 1975.
We got married November 28th, 1975. Yep.
And so you learned it as a wedding present, and we've done it thousands of times anywhere since.
Lime jello, marshmallow, cottage cheese, surprise. Ladies, the minutes will soon be read today. The garden club and weaving class, I'm sure, have much to say. But next week is our culture night, our biggest, best event. And I've just made a dish for it you'll all find heaven sent. It's my lime jello, marshmallow, cottage cheese, surprise. With slices of pimento, you won't believe your eyes. All topped with a pineapple ring and a dash of mayonnaise. My vanilla wafers round the end will win your highest praise. And Mrs. Jones is making scones that are filled with peanut mousse, to be followed by a chicken mold that's made in the shape of a goose. For ladies who must watch those pounds, we found a special dish, strawberry ice enshrined in whites with bits of tuna fish, and my lime jello, marshmallow, cottage cheese, surprise. Truly a creation that description defies. Will go so well with Mrs. Bell's creation of the week, shrimp salad topped with chocolate sauce and garnished with a leek. And Mrs. Perkins' walnut loaf was crowned with melted cheese. Was such a hit last culture night, we ask no seconds please. Now you must try her hot dog pie with candied mushroom slices. Those ladies who resigned last year, they just don't know what nice is. And my lime jello, marshmallow, cottage cheese, surprise. I did not steal that recipe. It's lies, I tell you, lies. Our grand award, a picture hat and a salmon sequin down, for any girl who tries each dish and keeps her whole lunch down. I'm sure you all are waiting for the biggest news, dessert. We've thought of things in molds and rings your diet to subvert. You must try our chocolate layer cake on a peanut brittle base, with slices of bananas that make a funny face. Around the edges peppermints, just swimming in peach custard, with lovely little curlicues of lovely yellow mustard. If all this is too much for you, permit me to advise more lime jello, marshmallow, cottage cheese, surprise. I've made heaps. Thank you for watching and listening.
Thank you. Have a good evening, or day, or morning, or whenever you hear this.
Bye-bye. And my lime jello, marshmallow, cottage cheese, surprise. I did not steal that recipe. It's lies, I tell you, lies. Our grand award, a picture hat and a salmon sequin down, for any girl who tries each dish and keeps her whole lunch down. I'm sure you all are waiting for the biggest news, dessert. We've thought of things in molds and rings your diet to subvert. You must try our chocolate layer cake on a peanut brittle base, with slices of bananas that make a funny face. Around the edges peppermints, just swimming in peach custard, with lovely little curlicues of lovely yellow mustard. If all this is too much for you, permit me to advise more lime jello, marshmallow, cottage cheese, surprise. I've made heaps.
Thank you for joining us for Laughter at the Happy Hour, a conversation concert and production of Carytown Concert House. If you value our artists and beloved Carytown Concert House, please consider making a gift at carytownconcerthouse.com. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter and check out our future upcoming live-streamed concerts.